Hello and good evening. Hope you've had a magnificent Monday. Mia Gradney here live at the KHOU 11 studios with our annual back to school Q&A with area superintendents. You know, KHOU 11 is proud to be your education station. We hope we can be helped by offering this connection and conversation with your superintendent. Alvin ISD heads back to class in just a few days, and joining us tonight is the district superintendent, Carol Nelson, and Alvin ISD Police Chief, Michael Putnal. Good evening to you both, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Wonderful to have you here. Real quick, I want to let everyone know who's joining us that we hope to cover a lot of ground and a lot of your questions in the next half hour. Many of you already submitted questions when you took part in the KHOU 11 Back to School survey. We are still taking questions tonight. You can text those to 713-526-1111. With that, let's get started. For the first time since the pandemic, the TEA released accountability ratings and school rankings for school districts and individual campuses. Want to ask you, Superintendent Nelson, how did Alvin ISD rank?
So, Mia, we were very excited about our rankings. We rated a B at 88, and that's credited to our staff and our academic team and our teachers in the classroom who helped to close the gap this year after coming back from the pandemic. And we were just so pleased with the progress that our students made this year.
To give us a little bit of context, what was the ranking like before the pandemic, the last rating that the district received?
So our last rating was right in that area as well. We were a B, we were 89 at that time. So we feel like we have closed the gap. We hope to continue to grow next year, and we've got a lot of training for our teachers throughout the summer to make that happen. So thank you and kudos to our teachers.
Yeah, a B+, that's a great way to start off the school year. Wonderful to hear. Let's turn now to the subject of school security. Parents had multiple questions about security. We'll try to get to as many as possible. We want to start, though, with Ivy Eliwat. She asked, how will the district handle school safety in the wake of all that has happened? And I think she means, of course, the Uvalde shooting, Uvalde massacre. What has the district done, and how will the district handle safety this year, Chief?
For us, we're just simply doubling down on efforts that we've had that we took years ago. We have good processes in place. We have good training. We have a veteran police department who emphasizes alert training, CRACE training. We collaborate with our students and staff to build a culture of safety. We emphasize appropriate relationships. We want our officers to be approachable. We want our officers to be appropriate role models. We're service-focused police department. And we, through the collaboration and just emphasizing processes that have been in place for years and tweaking some things here and there, there's always, things you identify that you can do better. But we feel that we've been on the right path for several years, and that we're just going to continue along that path and tweak those things that we identified that could be strengthened.
I know a lot of parents wanted to know about armed officers. How many do you have in the district total?
Well, we have enough officers. We have a police officer presence on every campus. We have multiple officers on our secondary campuses, specifically on our high schools. We augment our police department with contract officers. So in addition to our district hired police officers, we have approximately 80 officers that are on our contract list that we use to augment our staffing, our elementary campuses. In addition to a permanent presence on our secondary campuses, we have patrol that also focuses specifically on those elementary campuses. And we emphasize, perimeter checks. We emphasize, door-to-door audits. We've been doing that for years. Last year alone, we had 1,900 security audits that officers performed on our campuses.
And is that the average? Is that more than normal, to give parents an idea of just how many that is?
Well, it's certainly more than what we were doing during the COVID pandemic years. But I expect to see more next year. as something we emphasize. The district emphasizes, we have a locked door policy. All perimeter doors have to be locked at all times. You can only get access once the students are in school. You can only get access through key card access or a key. Our police officers, they double check, triple check. They'll walk the campus, walk the hallways, double check, make sure all the doors are locked. We don't find propped open doors. They'll double check to make sure the classroom doors are in a locked mode. In the past, they could be in a locked mode, but not necessarily pulled shut. Now, I think the district, the superintendent, and the school board has emphasized there's no locked mode anymore. It is locked and closed. Officers are all tasked with walking those hallways, shaking those door handles, ensuring that every door is locked at all times. And we have keys. We've always had key access to our classrooms. There's not a door in the district that we can't get into.
We talked about doors and exterior doors and those remaining locked. Let's talk about other physical perimeter security, mainly fencing. Do all Alvin ISD schools have perimeter fencing?
Now, several years ago, the superintendent and the school board emphasized perimeter fencing and security vestibules. That's been a project that's been ongoing for several years. Every district is unique. Every campus is unique. The needs vary. The district tries to address those campus needs individually. All campuses have been prioritized to ensure that instructional space is secure with perimeter fencing. No two campuses will necessarily look alike because we try and tailor the security plan, the fencing plan to the needs of that particular campus.
I see. We talked about exterior doors, parents asking about interior doors, specifically classroom doors. What's the policy for those classroom doors? Are there locks on all classroom doors, and are they to remain locked? And how often are those checked?
Again, every classroom door every instructional classroom door, it has to remain locked and shut. Our officers, it's double checked by the teachers, but it's triple checked by the police officers. Our officers are instructed as they're doing their walkthroughs, you shake the door handle and make sure. If we were to find a door handle that was inadvertently left unlocked, we're locking it. And it's rare that that we find one, but if we do, we evaluate whether it was human error or whether it's a mechanical malfunction. But it is strict policy that all doors are locked and closed. All instructional doors are locked and closed at all times.
All right, Chief, we have a question now from Andrea Sanders. She's speaking with us on Facebook. She wants to know, and she has a very specific question, so we'll see if you can answer it or if you need to do a little research for us. But Andrea asked, are the solar school zone sign lights at Nelson Elementary going to work this year? She says it's been 2.5 years since they've worked. Everyone just flies through there all school year. So I can imagine she's concerned about people speeding around a school. Do you know about Nelson Elementary School and the solar school zone lights that she speaks of?
I might have to do some research on that one.
Okay.
It's a lot of our much of our signage in the district is the maintenance of it is the responsibility of the respective municipality or the county, and rather than us, the district may install them during construction of a new school, but it's either the county or the city that maintains them.
Well, that's an answer right there, and maybe also where Andrea can get an answer to, and perhaps she can follow up with you via email after tonight. Either way, we'll work to get her some answers, but that was a good start, that's for sure. Another answer to your parent questions, a reminder again to text those questions to 713-526-1111. You can also speak with us on Facebook as well. Superintendent Nelson, we have a parent with concerns about overcrowded schools. They want to know, how are you proactively checking and preventing students who are not zoned to Alvin ISD from enrolling at Alvin ISD schools? And I want to echo here, she asked this question, but we find this in a lot of the school districts that are rapidly growing as well.
Yes, Mia, that's a constant challenge. However, we do have a very good system that when anyone comes to enroll, they have to bring certain documents with them that we validate and check. We also, if we get notification that someone is not living where they say they are, we've done a lot of home visits in connection with our PD, also helps us to go out to different areas. And we also have staff who strictly work on residency checks. And so it is a constant challenge. We are a fast growth district, and we notice that some of our schools do have the overcrowding. Therefore, we have to overflow to schools that have seats, but we are constantly monitoring that. And like I said, if it's brought to our attention, we definitely will investigate and look into it.
Got it. Let's talk lunch. We received so many questions about school lunches, and we know times are tough with inflation. Last year, lunches were free, and that was per a federal program in COVID. How will the lunch program work this year, Superintendent Nelson?
So this year, parents will need to apply for free and reduced lunch to see if they qualify, if they're interested. We have an online program called School Cafe. This way, it keeps it confidential with the family, as well as they get a faster turnaround on if they qualify or not. But we did not raise our lunch prices this year, knowing that there are families out there challenged. We don't want any child to go without eating. So we definitely make sure there's something for the child, but we do encourage our families who may qualify for free and reduced lunch to go on to School Cafe. It's an app. You can put it on your phone. If they don't have access to that, we will help them. They can come to the school or to central admin, and we will help them get on and apply for that.
Are there other free or reduced meals made available? I know we talked about lunch, but are there any breakfast meals or after school or even weekends that children could potentially qualify for?
So we offer breakfast at all of our schools that falls the same as under the free and reduced qualifications. So if they do qualify, they would receive breakfast and lunch. We do have some of our schools that offer what we call backpack buddies, where I believe we team up and team with the Houston Food Bank, and they bring backpacks full of food for the weekends. And so our counselors work with us to identify those students who may need food over the weekend. They take the backpack home, they have the food, and then they bring back the empty backpacks, and they get repacked for the following week.
Yeah, it's a great program. In fact, KHOU 11 is taking part in the Backpack Buddy program and raising money to provide those weekend meals. It's real simple, folks. You're online already. Go over to KHOU.com. A $3 donation provides 6 meals for over a weekend for a child. And we just heard that could be a child in Alvin ISD as well, too. Glad to hear that you're taking part of that program. Wonderful. Okay, let's talk now about a nationwide teacher shortage. We're asking all our local school districts, where do they stand? And that begs another question from Ivy. She wants to know about staff shortages. Do you have enough teachers?
Yes, so I got an update today from our Human Resources Department, and we currently have 8 unfilled openings. 3 of those are elementary school, and 5 of them are in our secondary schools. We have been able to close the gap using our retired teachers, as well as people who are in alternative certification programs. So they would have a bachelor's degree and be working towards certification. We call these classroom teacher facilitators. And we've been able to really fill some of the gaps with that. They're, like I said, they're degreed, they're working toward their certification, and they also get a higher rate of pay than, say, a long-term sub would.
Any idea how many new teachers you're welcoming as a result of this?
Yes, last week we welcomed, or I think it was the week before actually, we welcomed over 350 new teachers. And again, we're fast growth. We're also opening our 4th comprehensive high school. And so anytime you open a high school, you are going to have more teachers, more positions to fill. So we're excited. We had a very energetic group who are ready to join the Alvin way and make a difference in each child's lives.
Just 8 openings left. That is the lowest number we've heard so far since we've been doing this the past couple of weeks there. So Alvin ISD certainly closing the gap with needed teachers in the classroom. And speaking of the classroom, how are teachers and the district making up for any areas of learning loss due to COVID and virtual learning deficits, which, I think this is interesting because today we're hearing about these rankings, which are really reflective of where the schools and the school district stand. And Alvin ISD got a B grade. So how do you think the district is doing with learning loss and what deficits are there?
So Mia, I think that, you have to look at the individual child. Not one program's going to fix things but you have to look at each and every child and where their gaps are and take them from there. We use small group instruction in our classrooms, and our teachers are trained in that with professional development. And we have found that working with small groups helps to close the gaps a lot quicker than, say, large group instruction. Of course, it starts in the classroom with that excellent first teach. And then we also have services for all students. If they're GT or if they're special ed, we meet them at the level they're at and work with them on their level. So I think our teachers have done such a remarkable job over this last year. They've put their heart and soul into each and every child, and they really have helped to close that gap. I think that a literacy-rich environment at home helps, and our Alvin ISD Education Foundation several years ago started a book bus, which we all donate books. We get donations throughout the year. And what the book bus does is it goes out during the summer and it goes to different neighborhoods and areas across the district, which is over 252 square miles. And it makes sure that it's getting books and literacy in the hands of our students during the summertime, along with summer school, of course. But the book bus has been a very innovative addition to Alvin ISD, and it has received such great comments and remarks from parents and community members.
A very comprehensive program there. Want to get back to Chief with another security question. This one of the virtual nature. We have a parent, Titus. He asks, what will be done if a violent threat is made online? Does the district have a plan in place?
Without getting into specifics, every single threat is vetted and investigated. It is first evaluated by the campus threat assessment team. If it's deemed to be credible, then it's referred to the police department, and we will ramp up security at a particular campus if we deem it credible. We will do home visits. If we can identify the source, we're going to homes and we're knocking on the doors and we're asking parents to let us talk to their child and let us see the child's environment. It's we try and be very proactive and get on it very quickly and holistically and look at it from all sides. We don't take any kind of threat lightly, and we vet every one of them and evaluate it or treat it like it's a genuine threat.
Unfortunately, Chief, we do have those threats that are made by students themselves online, and it is in their way not intended to do harm. They think it's funny, but this is very serious business. What type of consequence does a student face for making such a threat?
Well, those that we deem credible, we have had to arrest students for terroristic threat. Unfortunately, we've arrested multiple students for terroristic threats over the years. The vast majority of threats are not necessarily deemed credible. As an example, we had a student threatened to bring a lava bomb to school and blow up the school with a lava bomb. We didn't really think he had access to lava. But we take everyone seriously, and between the threat assessment team and the police officers on the campus collaborating, we evaluate everyone and take appropriate action if it's credible.
All right. I had hoped we wouldn't have to talk about this school year as every other parent and every other staff member, but talking about COVID. It is still with us. It's still in our communities. With that said, what's the COVID protocol for this school year?
So Mia, it's as if it were in any other illness. We are going to treat it as you know, we're going to treat it significantly like we have in the past. We're going to continue all of our cleaning protocols in our facilities, on our buses. We take it seriously. If a student has fever, and that's fever for any reason, and or symptoms, we ask them to isolate for 5 days based on the onset of the symptoms. And then we're going to encourage them when they come back to wear a mask. But that's going to be with any disease or any illness that comes up. If it's the flu or anything else that is recognizable, we're concerned. We want to make sure that our students are getting vaccinated for not just COVID, but all their vaccinations. As you've seen on the news recently, there's been some cases of polio, and polio was eradicated years ago. But because some people choose not to get their vaccines, it's now starting to come back. So it's so important. I know that our nurses do a great job in monitoring each of their campuses and working with the parents, and they're true medical professionals that we depend on a lot in our schools.
Will you do COVID contact tracing? I know you said you're going to treat it just like any other illness, but as a follow-up, will you do COVID contact tracing at all?
So our nurses will be reporting any COVID cases that we know of to our county as well as our state, and we'll required by that. But as far as sending a letter home, we won't be sending a letter home because we feel like it's become, where it's not as severe as it was in the past. Of course, those students who are medically fragile, we continually watch and monitor those students and work with their parents.
We have a parent who wants to know, with the number of monkeypox cases increasing, what's the plan with monkeypox this year?
So it would be like it would be with any other illness. We'll follow the protocols that the CDC recommends, as well as our nurses, and work closely with all medical professionals. We have great working relationships with all the major medical business, Methodist, Memorial Hermann, HCA. We communicate with them frequently and rely on their expertise in areas.
LaDonna Malone asked, are teachers being supplied with disinfecting supplies for monkeypox and COVID?
So, Mia, I'm not certain on what supplies the district would provide, but I know each campus has hand sanitizer. Of course, we'll continue to encourage hand washing amongst all our students and staff. But as far as cleaning supplies, our custodial staff does a remarkable job of doing extra cleaning and deep cleaning. Each campus has Clorox wipes and things of that nature. And I'm just not certain. Sometimes they'll put it on a school supply list where certain, grade levels and stuff need them more than others. But as far as a district-wide distribution of supplies, the custodial staff will have that. And of course, if anything is needed, we will make sure that we get that to the campus.
Those are all answers to health concerns. I want to switch back real quick to security and safety. Chief, we have another parent who asks, how will the district ensure students do not bring guns on campuses?
So the district we have a holistic approach to our security on campuses. We channel all students, incoming students, in through 2 entrances. They're monitored, they're watched. We have a campus Crime Stoppers program. We have a see something, say something program. The officers strive to build relationships with students and staff. If there's any inappropriate behavior, any appropriate items brought onto the campus, the relationships we build with our students, generally we're going to be told about it. It's we are diligent, we're proactive, we try and educate our students and staff, and through the collaboration with students and staff, we think we've built a safe and secure environment.
Another question, this time for Superintendent Nelson. A parent asked, how will you help students with anxiety about going to school? And I'm sure it's not anxiety about being in the classroom and doing the work, but anxiety over those security and safety concerns?
So we want to ensure that our students know that our goal is to have a safe and secure learning environment for them. And through that, they build relationships with their teachers, with their administrators, with the police officers on campus, and just feel like they're really part. We encourage that students get involved in activities. Research shows that when they engage and they're in a club or in extracurricular activities, they have a better experience in school. So we're really reaching out and encouraging that. We also, using some ESSER funds, hired some social emotional counselors a couple of years ago, and we have them at each one of our high school campuses, and they also serve our junior high campuses. Our elementary counselors do a wonderful job with the KHOU program and building those relationships. So we have resources for our students if they do have any anxiety, and we encourage them to reach out to one of their teachers, to an adult on campus, and we can help them through that. But we have a lot of resources. We've also written a grant and received some grant for some social emotional supports as well.
Chief, another question for you, and one of our final questions from parents. What additional measures have been taken since Uvalde when it comes to safety and security?
As far as the police department, I'm not sure I can say additional measures. Like I mentioned earlier, we're doubling down on our efforts on what we've already been doing. I think we've been way ahead of the curve. There's a lot of conversation, a lot mentioned about alert training, which is advanced law enforcement rapid response training. I have 5 certified alert instructors among my officers, but we go a step further than alert. Alert is a fantastic program, teaches a lot of fantastic tactics, but we take it a step further and we emphasize solo officer response. I have, I think, 6 or 7 officers that are certified as instructors for solo officer response. So we, our mindset is that if we were to have a critical threat inside our schools, we're not waiting for permission from the supervisor. We're not waiting for keys. We're not waiting for a ballistic shield. We're going and responding. It's the threat. One officer is present. One officer is expected to respond. The cavalry's coming, but that officer is not waiting for anything. He's going, and he's taking the initiative, and he's going, and we're going to identify, isolate, neutralize the threat. We've focused on that for years, and like this, to shoot just 2 weeks ago, we spent 3.5 days doing nothing but that active shooter training, that sole officer response training. Each officer probably practiced 60 room entries. That's something we do every year. It's not something we started because of any recent events. We've been doing it for years, and we're going to continue to emphasize that. We have the equipment, we have the training. I've got a tremendous staff. I've got a lot of guys that I think my average experience for my officers is 17 years. Average experience for my supervisors is 23 years. I've got a lot of SWAT guys, a lot of military guys, and we emphasize that, and we go through the process with simunition training. We shoot the heck out of each other for 3.5 days, and we come away with a lot of lessons learned from it. But we practice it over and over and over, and we've been doing it for years.
Plan in place, constantly exercise. Thank you so much, Chief. We've covered so much. We've talked everything from security to school lunches, but let's get back to basics as we come to a close. Superintendent Nelson, how can parents best support their students and set them up for success this school year?
Mia, I would encourage them to be a partner with the schools, to offer support, to volunteer where there's opportunities to volunteer. Several of our schools have started up Watchdog Dads again, because we feel like the partnership with the parents is where we can gain as much as possible in that partnership. We have community members who have reached out and offered to help on campuses. We have a YET program where community people as well as staff and retired teachers can mentor a child. And so that's across the district. There's a lot of opportunities. So I would encourage our parents, and I know several of them work. And so just anything, stay in contact, communicate with teachers through email, through text, and and ask questions when you have questions. I mean, they're your children, they're your schools, and we're here to make the experience the best it can be for your child.
Superintendent Nelson and Chief Putnal, thank you for your time. I know parents and students certainly appreciate it. KHOU 11 is proud to provide this platform as Houston's education station. Thank you, and all our best on a safe and productive school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And folks, be sure to follow KHOU 11 News on Facebook and Twitter for our next back to school Q&A. And text the word school to 713-526-1111 to take the KHOU 11 back to school survey. Thanks so much, and we'll see you all a little bit later tonight at 10.
Thank you.